This lesson is on reflections. In numbers 1 and 2, we're going to be looking at reflecting this particular image. So number 1 says, reflect the pre-image over the y-axis. When you do a reflection, basically you find your line of reflection. Since they tell me it's the y-axis, I'm going to be reflecting over this line. And then basically from here, you can count the distance that each individual point on this figure is from that line and continue in the other direction. So we take x and it is 1, 2, 3 units away. So we go 1, 2, 3. We mark that. That now becomes my x prime. We look at n. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. So we keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. That now becomes n prime. Then we look at b. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 units away. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4 units here. And that is b prime. We'll connect our dots here. And what you're looking at is a picture that should be the same size, same shape as the original. If I had drawn straight lines, that would have been the case. But these two will be congruent, and we've reflected over the y-axis. When we do a rule, basically you're going to start with your x comma y, and it's going to change. When you do a reflection over y-axis, the y will stay the same. It was the x that went opposite in value, and there is your rule. In the next two questions, this time we're going to reflect this over the x-axis. So we're going to take this pre-image. This is the axis in which we're going to reflect it over. And again, count. It is 1 unit away from the x-axis, so go 1 more unit. We're going to call that v prime. K is 1, 2, 3, 4 units away, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4 units. That's going to be k prime. J is 1, 2 units away, so we're going 1, 2 units. That is going to be J prime. And now we connect these dots. When we do, what we see are two congruent images or two congruent figures. So this should show that rigid motion with a reflection, and we can double check and say, yes, they look like they're the same size, same shape. We did it right. When we do the rule, again, we're going to start with x comma y, arrow, and it's going to change. This time we reflect it over the x-axis. X-axis, x will stay the same, which means my y values went opposite in number. On number 5, it says if a, starting at 4, negative 5, goes to a prime, negative 4, negative 5, and b, starting at 1, 0, goes to b prime, negative 1, negative 0, or negative 1, 0, what transformation has occurred? Well, what we notice here is that in looking at this, negative 5 and negative 5 from the y stayed the same, and our 0 and our 0 stayed the same. But the x's in both cases are opposites. The 4 went to negative 4, the 1 went to negative 1. So the y stayed the same, so think about it this way, the y stayed the same, but the x changed. So what really happened here is we started with xy. The x went opposite in value, but the y stayed the same. When we reflect over the y-axis, y stays the same. So this was a reflection over the y-axis. On number 6, it says, suppose that C prime is 5, 6. So we can already see this is an image point because of the prime. And this is what happened after it was reflected over the y-axis. So we're trying to figure out the coordinate of the pre-image. Well, if we reflect something over the y-axis, remember y would stay the same. So this x would go opposite in value. Now, what it's giving me is this part right here. It's saying, hey, we've got 5, 6. But this is what we're trying to figure out, is what the original point was. Well, the y stayed the same, so this has to be 6. It was the x that went opposite in value, so you have to think what's opposite of 5? That would have been negative 5. So my pre-image coordinate would have been negative 5, 6. And this would be my answer. And we can check it. Y-axis, y stays the same. The x should have gone opposite, which matches my C prime. So the original C would have been at negative 5, 6. In the last question here, it says write the rule to represent the transformation. The first thing you need to do is figure out what the pre-image is, and you'll know that because it won't have any primes. So this figure here is the one that is the original image because there are no primes on it. This is the pre-image. That means this one here is the image. And we see that a reflection has definitely happened. Now we just have to figure out what did it reflect over. Well, this whole image flipped over the y-axis, so this is a reflection over the y-axis.